Hi, this is Trisha, and I want to talk to you today about the Pyrus Smartwatch. Chunky, innit? Looks rather nice though. First thing you notice about a smartwatch is that normally there's nothing on the face. You have to just press the button for that. That's useful though, because it's backlit. That means that if you're at a concert and you want to see what time it is, you can do without having to take your phone out your pocket. There we are, the smartwatch face. You can easily swipe through all the apps. Some of them are actually quite useful. Let's start at the beginning. You've got all your messaging apps. You can make phone calls on this thing. And it does work. It's a bit Inspector Gadget talking to your wrist, but it's quite funky really. You get strange looks. There's a camera. In the end there, I'll show you, there's a lens. It does take reasonable photos and videos in daylight, but night time I wouldn't bother. It can also be an activity tracker of a sort, but I can't sleep in this thing, it's too heavy. It can measure your steps and it seems to be quite accurate. And if you sat still for too long, you can set it to tell you to get up and go for a walk. There's other things like a calculator, which I really can't see me using on one of these things. But you can control your Bluetooth music and it does play through your wrist. So say if you want to listen to the radio, it's quite funky listening to it on your wrist. You can measure your heartbeat. Let's see how fast mine's going. It measures your heartbeat. It also measures UV levels, so if you're out in too much sun it can tell you it can be dangerous. That's the smartwatch. What's it like to wear? Well, you'll notice I've got it next to this activity tracker. It's because if that isn't on, it's just way too big. Tying it onto the smallest, and I can just about cope with it. But it doesn't half move around, and with it being so thick and heavy, it's not that comfortable like that. With the activity tracker on though, it puts it in about the right spot for it to be comfortable, for me, with a smaller wrist. But that's down to personal preference, because this thing is chunky. There's the lens. Very spy really, isn't it? Bit MI5. A camera in the end of your watch. But it looks quite funky. And it could be quite useful. It's good fun to play with. It is very Inspector Gadget though, he's talking to your wrist on a telephone call. It's a nice gadget, it's a nice toy. But the only thing that really puts me off about smartwatches is your Bluetooth on your phone can only really connect to one full Bluetooth connection. It can connect to this thing with a light kind of connection, so I can use a Bluetooth headset or a Bluetooth speaker at the same time as my activity tracker. But if I use the smartwatch, I can't also use a headphone. If I'm wearing the smartwatch, I can't also use a speaker. It's one or the other, which is just a bit of a niggle. Especially when you like music as much as I do. But for a watch, and a very useful watch really, takes some beating, does that. It really does look nice just as a watch. I'm still not sold on smartwatches, but if you're going for one, that is a nice one.